Hey guys, how's it going? I know many of you guys are out there watching BlizzCon and seeing what all the new updates are, and man, I couldn't be more satisfied. I think they're handling TBC Classic really well so far, but for those of you who did not catch the BlizzCon, I'm going to wrap up all the relevant information for TBC Classic for you guys right here, right now, so let's get into it. The very first thing we're going to look at is the actual phases of content that we can expect to see in Classic TBC. And the first of those being Phase 1, which they said on the panel will include Karazhan, Gruul's Lair, and Magtheridon's Lair. Now, usually back in the day and what we see on private servers is SSC and TK, that being Serpent Shrine Caverns and Tempest Keep, the Tier 5 raids, also being out on launch. But I do actually like the way that Blizzard has planned this out, only releasing Gruul's Lair and Magtheridon's Lair with Karazhan, because that's going to give the guilds that aren't pushing the really high-end rating super organized, it's going to give those more casual guilds more of a fun and enjoyable time playing the game, because you're not going to have those sweaty tryhards in Tier 5 gear the very first week, just completely stomping them in Arena. So I actually think this is a really good change. And as I was mentioning before, Phase 2, that is when we plan to see Serpent Shrine Cavern and Tempest Keep, the two raids that allow us to get the Tier 5 items. And also, important to note, these two raids also drop the epic quality material to make your Tier 3 blacksmithing weapon if you are one of the classes that uses one of those. So it is important to note, guys, that if you are playing a melee class and you're interested in going in these Tier 3 blacksmithing weapons like the popular PvP two-handed mace, Storm Herald, or the Drakefist Hammer, anything like this, you will have to wait until Phase 2, and you're only going to be able to craft the second tier of that weapon, which, by the way, is still a good weapon. Now, moving on to Phase 3, that is when we start to see Tier 6. We're going to see Hyjal and BT. We have the end of Tier 5 content moving into Hyjal and BT. And in addition to that, we will start to see the Season 2 of the Arena season, which means new PvP gear during this phase of content as well. Moving on to Phase 4, we don't have that much PvE content. The only addition that we have here is going to be Zol Aman, which is a cool raid to do and definitely brings back some nostalgia. So I know there are going to be a lot of players excited to do that raid. And also, we immediately move on to Season 3 of Arena. Now, the fifth and final phase of content that we can expect to see in TBC, as they mentioned on the panel, is going to be Sunwell, the last raid of TBC, and the most challenging raid of TBC. But not only will we have Sunwell, we will also have our fourth and final season of Arena, where we get that last bit of high-end resilience gear. And while we're on the topic of Arena, another super important change they made, which is actually really nice, is that they're doubling the size of the Arena roster. Why, you might ask? Well, like they said on the panel, which is completely true, let's say you have a team of 3 people, and you can only invite 3 people to your specific team. If one of those people has to go out of town, or if he's busy or sick or just can't get on for any reason, you just can't play because you can't invite someone else to the team. You'd have to make a whole new team, and it's a huge hassle. But now how they're making it is if you have a 2v2 team, you can have 4 people on the total roster of that 2v2 team. If you have a 3v3 team, you can have 6 people, and so on and so on. That way, you can actually play with your team at flexible hours if someone can't log on at a given specific time, which I think is just a fantastic change to see. Next is something I know a lot of you guys are going to be excited to hear, especially for those people who want to re-roll to a Paladin and you are playing Horde, or you want to re-roll into a Shaman and you are playing Alliance. Well, they also said that they're going to be releasing Blood Elves and Draenei early. Now, how early compared to the actual TBC launch, that we do not know yet, but they did say that they will be giving us access to these 2 new TBC races early and preemptively before the TBC launch. So get ready to level up your classes if you are one of those people interested in trying out Paladin or Shaman with the new races. And if you are one of those people who are thinking about re-rolling a Paladin, and you're thinking about, well, what about the new seals that come in TBC? Well, that was also addressed on this panel. And as we know, in TBC, Horde is given Seal of Blood, and Alliance is given Seal of Vengeance. Now, back in the day, that was a strict rule. If you were Horde, you did not get Seal of Vengeance, and vice versa. And it turned out that Seal of Blood and Horde Paladins were generally stronger in raid scenarios than the Alliance Paladins with Seal of Vengeance. Now, I have heard of some niche scenarios where Seal of Vengeance is pretty good for a Protection Paladin in specific, but still, generally speaking, Seal of Blood was the stronger spec. Well, in TBC Classic, they officially announced that both Paladins on the Alliance and the Horde side will gain access to both of these seals, making the faction balance all the better. Now for something that I definitely think is going to be a slight point of contention inside the community. So make sure you leave your comments down below and let me know what you guys think of this. But they are going to be offering a level 58 boost prior to TBC coming out. We don't know exactly when this is going to be, but it's going to be a paid character boost, 1 per account, to boost a character up to level 58 and prepare them for TBC. There are some people who are really going to like this because they want to re-roll it to a different class before TBC or for TBC, and they want to get that character ready for TBC. So I can understand where people are going to like this, but at the same time, there's always a slight point of contention anytime there is any sort of boosting going on. But it is important to note that this boost will not be in effect for any Draenei or Blood Elf. So if you are looking to reroll for a Draenei or Blood Elf to be a Paladin or a Shaman, they will not allow you to boost a Draenei or a Blood Elf. Now, the last thing that they addressed for us is what is going to happen to our current Classic WoW characters. What are our options exactly? And what they said is we have an option to either sign up our character and move them to a TBC realm, or we can move them to a Classic Era realm. And these Classic Era realms will always stay Classic. They will never move on to the next expansion, as opposed to moving it to this TBC expansion, which, by the wording they used, seemed like they were planning on moving on to more expansions after that. Probably just Lich King, that's what I would assume in my opinion. But it's either move to a progressive realm or stay on a Classic Era realm. Now, if you do choose to go to this Classic Era realm, they said that you can, at a later date, choose to move your character over to this progressive realm, and you're not stayed in and locked into that Classic Era realm. Also, they added one more additional option, and this is another paid option. So again, let me know what you guys think, but I think that this paid option actually does make quite a bit of sense. And what they offered was you can make 1 copy of your character. That way, if you want to keep raiding with your friends in Classic WoW, keep farming Naxxramas, or maybe you had an alt that you didn't quite get to Naxxramas with, you can copy that character. So you can stay on a Classic Era realm, and also you can also move that character to the TBC realm. So I think that this is one of the few cases where the microtransaction is actually a good option. And well, that's the end of the video, boys. That was the wrap up for this day of TBC Classic news that they announced at BlizzCon. Now, if you're interested in TBC Classic, or if you are a Classic player that is playing currently and is going to play in TBC Classic, I did mention that I am going to be starting a video series very soon. I actually have 2 videos locked and loaded and ready to go, and that is going to be about the pre-patch TBC. When we're level 60 and we have those juicy TBC talents, what we can do with them, how it changes the meta, what classes are good, why they're good, and different PvP and PvE builds at level 60 with these level 70 talents. And let me tell you, some of those niche classes in Classic WoW get pretty darn powerful. So if you're looking forward to seeing that series and you love a little bit of theory crafting like I do, please make sure to hit like and hit the subscribe button so you can see when those videos come out. Anyways, thank you so much for checking up and watching the channel, boys. I appreciate it always, and until next time, I'll see you later.